Hi everyone. Good evening from India, Bhaskar Natarajan. Thank you so much for joining our show. This is a privilege to introduce young budding authors. Many of them are first time authors. As I said earlier in my session, I take great pride in introducing them to our community. Over the many months, we have built a small community of passionate professionals who are wanting to be a better version of themselves. And I have received many of your feedback after the sessions. It's really heartwarming. Please do keep sending feedback so that we can make it better every time. And I also try to send a small teaser before meeting the author. Do take time to watch the teaser. I try to keep it around 10 minutes so that your precious time is really utilized better, and you know what book we are talking about, who is the author behind that book. Many times a book speaks to you as the reader, and you get a lot of insights, and you want to engage with the author and ask why and what and so on. So that's the opportunity we have on this platform. After pandemic hit us, we are trying to cope on various counts in many ways that we could in our parlance. So this is one way of learning as a community through digital means. So I have the privilege of introducing today's author, Ms. Beena Joshi. She's a founder and director of Renovar Training and Consulting. Renovar means something. Maybe once we have her, we will talk about what does Renovar mean. She's a leadership coach, a consultant, a specialist in the area of talent management. Her career journey spans more than 17 years of extensive work in the area of learning and development, leadership initiatives, performance management, as well as personal transformation. As a consultant, she has worked with several organizations that include small and medium enterprise, big corporations, as well as non-profit organizations to design and deploy various developmental and change initiatives for organizations. So this is something gives me great privilege to introduce Beena through this platform. There she is. Hi, Beena.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me here, Bhaskar.
And as I was mentioning earlier, I really like the halo above your head. The light is creating. It also tells a good sign that there is a lot of wisdom we need to tap into.
I hope I'm able to do justice to that.
Of course, of course. And sincere thanks to you for agreeing to be part of this conversation. This is important for millennials as well as Gen Z, as we call them, because these are youngsters who are looking for inspiration, need to learn few things without having to go through that cycle that we all went through in our generation. So it's a great privilege to learn from giants like you who have worked on this area on a specific mission mode. You have spoken to so many people. It's very evident in the book. You have included many interviews, celebrities stories, as well as inspirational quotes. And my daughter, who's just 9.5 year old, she really went berserk about it. She downloaded it, she read it on Kindle after we downloaded it. And she created a special flashcards, which is a feature available on Kindle. Whenever there is a difficult word, she would highlight it and put it on the flashcard, learn the meaning of it, and so on. So I found it as a very engaging way to get a youngster get interested in the concept of career, because these days
Yes,
career is not a linear one, right?
absolutely. And in fact, I'm glad she started young.
Me too, me too. Instead of watching binge watching on Amazon or Netflix or anything, yeah, there's
Right.
some good habits we inculcated from our parents, and we are privileged to pass it on. She's a voracious
Absolutely.
reader, and to tell you, she's an author in the
Oh, wow.
making. Yeah, she's already
Fantastic.
written. She's planned for 10 chapters. It's a fan fiction based on a
Hmm.
series that she is following on, I think Amazon or Netflix. I don't remember which one, but there's a
Right.
cartoon series which she's really passionate about, and she writes on that fan fiction on what the character could have done differently. She's
Wow.
already done
Wow.
with 4 chapters, and her plot is thickening, as she's saying. She wouldn't share the manuscript with me yet, so perhaps once it is done, I will have a chance to read it.
Oh, wonderful. Bhaskar, I think you are training her so well right now through this initiative.
No, no, no. My contribution is not to interfere in her activities. So, coming back to your book, really, appreciate you putting all these wisdom together. Some of us only talk; we only, share knowledge in a closed forum. So, a book is like a legacy one leaves behind, right?
Right.
It outlives the author, and that's where I think you have done a wonderful job to youngsters who are up and coming. So, can you tell us about what inspired you to write this book, and how come this journey?
So, I think, Bhaskar, that's a very relevant question, and I will tell you this that I think I learned from my own experience. When I started out, I have dabbled into so many different careers that I think I'll have to have a separate book for that. But mind you, that it is one's own experience that actually gives you the impetus to then support another person. So, to be very honest, as a consultant and as a leadership coach, I get to work with professionals very closely day in and day out. And one might be a high potential employee working in an organization, or one could be having their own enterprise. But one thing which is common across every professional is that they need to make certain career decisions. And these are an integral part of our lives, which we cannot do without. Now, what happens is when these career decisions are crucial, which means life transforming, and I mean in terms of, at relevant stages, we talk about career transition. So, when these are such critical decisions, one tends to get a little confused as to what basis should they really decide, right? Now, not each one of us really has a mentor. I mean, I know for a fact, like I shared, when I started out, I really didn't have any mentor. uh, Maybe for my lack of understanding, or possibly that I couldn't really figure out who could support me at that point in time. So, yes, there are a few people who work in organizations who are a part of mentoring initiatives in the organization, but for a large few, they may not really have mentors, right? Secondly, the other thing that I've also noticed, Bhaskar, is that there are career coaches, and these services are now available. There are lots of people who are supporting, but there is some level of skepticism that I see in people, because there is this concept of I'm not sure whether I need to connect to a career coach. But the fact is that we all need support at some point in time when we are making these career decisions. And that's why my thought was, why not create a ready reckoner which people can go back to and can support them in the best possible way and also guide them. Now, I would also like to kind of, say that the guidance that I have tried to put in as a part of this book is, not just your management models or, information, but there is something that a person will get to deep dive in and then understand based on what is relevant to their own life. So that was the thought, that to really extend one's support as a professional, through my own experience and expertise through this book.
Wonderful. In fact, that makes my job easier when I coach someone on this area where they can use this as a companion book. All the exercises that you
Absolutely.
have at the end of each chapter, it's really nice, that they could talk about various aspects, even the beliefs, values, and we will talk more on that subject. Before that, I would like to ask you. You have named your organization as Renovar. Would you want to talk
Correct.
about the reason behind and what does that mean?
Okay, so renovar is a Spanish word. And while I was trying to think about, what do I do, because I have also started this company about 6 years back, and not very, very, it's fairly new, in that sense. So when I was trying to figure out what is the name that would really best signify the kind of work that I do, it was this particular word which really struck a chord. So renovar is a Spanish word which stands for renovating or reinventing oneself. And as a part of the initiatives that we do for talent management, right from your leadership initiatives to L&D initiatives to the kind of competency mapping, etc., everything revolves around transformation. And I thought this was the best word that really describes transformation. So hence Renova Training and Consulting. I'm not able to hear you actually, Bhaskar, for some
Yeah,
reason.
that's a
Yeah.
nice aphorism for reminder, or for continuously re-energize, find ourselves like a phoenix, as we say, right? Nice. So I have a couple of more questions on the book itself. How did you come up with this title, Move Fast or Move Over? It took some
Right.
time for me to understand what is this, and when I read the book, it's so sticky, in our mind. Oh yeah, this is amazing. This is a very insightful concept around career. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. So the name "Move Fast" or "Move Over" actually talks about the term agility, right? And I think nothing can explain the level of agility with which we have had to respond in the last 1.5 year. Owing to the pandemic, we've seen the business environment change completely. We've seen the economic environment change completely. Right, and it's not just in the last 1.5 years, but if we truly understand it correctly, the 21st century in that sense can be called as a VUCA environment, right? We're
Mm,
constantly going through a lot of uncertainty, which we cannot fathom. Like I said, I mean, being from this area of learning and development, I know for a fact how L&D has transformed completely from needing to have classroom sessions to today. There is so much happening virtually, and things are even getting better and better, right? So the fact is that today, given that we are seeing so much exponential change when it comes to our business environment, it is going to happen that our jobs are also bound to change. I mean, today, if you ask me, there are so many organizations which are actually designing jobs differently right now,
yeah,
right?
true, true.
Something which needed two or three people to do an action or a task. Now today it's combined into one single role, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
hence it's important to understand, am I able to respond to that level of transformation which is happening, right? Because if you see, AI is being used so extensively to improve performance, to increase productivity, right? Of course, this is not to say that everything will be taken over by AI. That's not really the case. But the fact is, we therefore can see changes in the industry trends.
mm,
And as a professional, if I cannot understand what are the kind of trends which I'm seeing in my current environment as well as in my industry right now, then I'm not responding
mm,
as quickly as I need to, right? And when I don't respond as quickly as I need to, based on this change, then I am left to reacting to circumstances, and then that's when we become vulnerable, and then we are left to the fact of, oh, I had to take on this opportunity because there was no other option. So
mm,
that's not how we need to look at career opportunities. Thus agility is the key to jump up and move forward.
nice. So I was reminded of autobiography that I read some time back, of now a famous person, but in 1989, at the age of 18, he joined a boiler room cleaning job. So in Canada, he went to find out, in the employment exchange, which is the high-paying job available, because he wanted money. So they said $18 an hour. The high-paying job is cleaning the boiler room in a lumber mill, right? Where a lot of woods are being stacked, and they're taking wood pulp out of it, That's the scene you can imagine in your mind's eye, where this person, he wears a hazmat suit, right, fully clothed. He goes into a small tunnel, narrow tunnel, and opens into a boiler room, where he has to clear all the sand and muck, everything, which is really hot. If anyone stays there for 30 minutes, it will be like hyperthermia and they could die. And when he started his work in the start of the week, there were 30 people doing the job. By third day, only 5 remained, and by end of the week, along with him, 2 more people remained. And the way he cleaned that muck and sand from that boiler is, you have to scoop it out on a shovel, put it into the tunnel. There should be somebody outside who will clean it up quickly, because if the tunnel gets clogged, then a person cannot come out, and that will be end of it. Such a hazardous job this person has done. Now he's a tech billionaire, founder of 3 big companies including Tesla, right? I'm talking about Elon Musk. So in his biography, he talks about such dangerous jobs that he has done because he didn't know where to start, right? And I know many of us go through that kind of a wild goose chase, not knowing where to start the career. Your first chapter talks about it, saying, how can we start with the end in mind? Could you talk about that? How can one start in that journey?
So, how can one start in the journey? I think when somebody is starting out, it's important to understand that we are challenging we are challenging in terms of our expectation of what we are anticipating in in a fresh environment, in a new environment, and there is a reality to it. So often it happens that what we may have learned in a classroom scenario, okay, is very different from when you go there and when you work in that reality. And it's so easy for people to feel disoriented in that situation, and feel that they are not capable. And in fact, my first chapter precisely talks about that, that yes, there may be a gap between the expectation and reality, but when I understand and when I make the most of those situations, is where I can actually learn from them and take proactive action to move forward. So knowing exactly what are the kind of how do I leverage this opportunity, even if I don't know. So one of the examples that I have mentioned in the book is about how you could be an engineering graduate working in a manufacturing setup, right? What you've learned in engineering is completely different from the reality that happens in a manufacturing setup, and sometimes it may feel like, I think the workers know more than you, right? So how can you
Yeah.
leverage that situation by actually learning from the people around you, right? And I think that's one of the things that I feel that whether you are at the beginning of your journey, or whether you are 20 years down in your journey, this ability to be able to learn from your environment and therefore adapt yourself, adjust yourself, that is what is truly important, in today's day and age, to be able to manage this agility that we were talking about.
Very nice, very nice. And we have to give ourselves permission to do course correction every now and then, with the help of a
Yes.
coach or a mentor or a guide, and reflect on where we are now, and how do we progress from here. So with that, career progression is aspiration for most, right? What is the right perspective for professionals?
That's such a valid question, and I feel a lot of people misunderstand things, when it comes to career progress. So, first of all, like you, right at the beginning, you spoke about the fact that career progress is not linear anymore, and this is one
Mm.
thing that each and every professional needs to understand, that career progress isn't linear. In fact, sometimes when we get opportunities, they may not seem like they are allowing us the kind of progress that we would have anticipated, say in terms of vertical movement, but it
Mm.
may still allow you an opportunity to develop yourself in a different manner. So to give you an example, when it comes to lateral movements, right?
Hmm.
When I'm working in an organization, one of the ways in which uh, we can look at progress is when we are able to actually make the most of lateral movements based on our career aspirations.
Hmm.
And these kind of movements may firstly get us out of our comfort zone, and also help us develop the kind of skills which we have never had before, right?
True.
So
Very
our
true.
exposure to it increases, exposure to something different comes about in a very different way. We have upskilled ourselves, and we have added another feather to the cap.
Hmm.
So, what I would like to kind of reiterate over here is career progress cannot be quantified in terms of objective measures of success. In chapter 2, I've actually mentioned this, that
Hmm.
people have this tendency of looking at career success in an objective and subjective way. And typically, a lot of people look at career success from the point of view of objective success, which is your promotions, which is designation, salary hike, etc. But that is a very myopic view when it comes to career progress, because
Hmm.
progress has to mean how have I developed in my professional capacity
Hmm.
from
True.
yesterday to today. Because I've seen people who have worked in the same organization for 10 years, and they're doing the same kind of job,
Hmm.
and there
Yeah.
is very little that they have grown in their expertise, in their knowledge, in their experience and exposure.
Hmm.
So, how do you then qualify it as progress, even if your salary has increased in those 10 years?
True. True. True.
Right?
In fact, I keep telling my team when I was in a corporate, saying you got to work towards the next level, start behaving and performing according to that next level. Only then you will get the promotion. People are
Absolutely.
not going to
Absolutely.
give you promotion because you deserve it, or you just been there in that position for so long, or you're entitled because of your
Absolutely.
tenure. Once you
So
start
true.
showing signs that you are doing a job which is one level above you, then only that promotion comes to you.
So true. And in fact, I was, of course, only, right now when I was giving you a perspective, it is more from the perspective of a corporate. But today, there are so many people for whom a transition would mean like a great shift from a corporate job to starting their own enterprise. And I think you and I are both, a
Gig
part
workers.
of that movement. Absolutely. The gig worker. And for people like us, career progress would mean the learning curve that comes
Yeah.
along with starting out your own enterprise. I think that's the brilliant, phenomenal, value addition that we get as a part of our profession. Do you agree to that?
Absolutely, absolutely right. And the concept of leadership growth as a pipeline, having turns at every level, and have you
Absolutely.
picked up those skill sets required for every turn, and you are adding value for the next turn before you take that turn, right? So in
Absolutely.
IT, typically, uh, when the boom was happening, people got promoted because there were no leaders at that time,
Correct.
and
Correct.
before their skills got matured and they could demonstrate something on the job, they were promoted and sent on site and so on. So many of the critical skills like communication, handling client relationship, making sure you are listening the client requirement well and passing it on to the offshore team. So working in IT environment, I could see people have grown faster than their experience, and they got stuck. After that they couldn't
Yeah.
learn anything new because their ego came in the way, and it was very difficult path then onwards.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, that's why that learning becomes very important when you kind of try and understand progress from the perspective of development. I think development is the key word over
Absolutely, and that brings us to the next question. What are some common things that people miss out
here.
in doing in the process of managing their career?
I have a list of them, Bhaskar, but I am going to, just for the
There's
sake
another book
of,
waiting, I think. There's another book waiting.
yeah, possibly. But, just to kind of be very clear, I have some of the, while I have seen people miss out on a lot of things, but there are top few things which definitely come to my mind. And I think one of the topmost one is that people do not give importance to the inner compass in the
Mm.
process of career management. So in one of my chapters, I think it's chapter 3, I have
Yes.
spoken about the inner compass. And so what is this inner compass? Inner compass comprises of your values, your beliefs, your vision, your purpose, right? And very few people actually focus on this aspect of career management. So that's on top of my list. The
Mm-hmm.
second being regular updation of skills. Now I know a lot of people will beg to differ, but so there are two aspects of it. One, when you are an independent consultant
Mm.
or when you're an entrepreneur, okay, you have to take charge of updating your skills on your own. And many a times in the process of focusing on your top line, and making the most of it, and business development and marketing and so on and so forth, sometimes the people could miss out on updating and upgrading their skills, right?
True.
And also updating and upgrading skills for an independent consultant is a personal investment of resources. So
True.
I'm not saying people necessarily don't do it, but yes, there are a lot of people who miss out on this element of it. And for those who work in an organization, what I have seen is, yes, people attend the so-called learning initiatives that have been outlined for them. But
Mm.
if you truly understand your career aspirations, you may realize that sometimes what is being offered as a learning opportunity may not be enough from within the organization. And then
Mm.
am I open to go out and invest on myself and learn those skills which are pertinent to my own growth or career aspiration that I'm truly looking at? Because otherwise, I'm just doing what somebody else is making me do, and that's not the approach to career any which ways.
True.
The third thing that I feel that people miss out on doing is updating their professional profiles. You know, the funniest part is, Bhaskar,
Mm.
uh, I see a lot of people updating their skills when they're looking out for jobs,
Ah,
or
yes.
they are, yeah, updating their profiles when it comes to searching for job opportunities. I'm
Mm.
not saying everyone is like that, but quite a few people I have seen are like that. Then when I'm looking out for a job, I will update my LinkedIn profile, or I will
Mm.
update my CV, right? And here when I talk about updating a professional profile, I'm talking about updating a profile both internally, if you're
Mm.
working in an organization, so updating your profile internally, because there are so many opportunities that you can actually capitalize upon when your profile is visible to the internal talent management team itself, and therefore the kind of opportunities that can be created for you. So hence, that internal updation as well as external updation in terms of your LinkedIn profile, I think that's something that people need to get into the habit of, right?
True. True.
uh, Also I feel that using a digital platform very well, we are, the generation Gen Z that we were talking about is completely a digital generation, and
True.
everything that we do right now is on a platform. So I have seen that Gen Z is using digital platforms much better than
Yeah.
a Gen X or a millennial like me,
Mm.
in terms of creating visibility,
Yeah.
and so I have seen, in fact I've seen so many people, so many Gen Z professionals updating in terms of their posts, or writing articles, etc. And I do not see as much effort
Mm.
with maybe a millennial or a Gen X. And hence I feel it's very important to create that visibility through digital platforms.
True.
So
True.
that's something which is missing out. And I think finally, I would take the opportunity to say networking very well.
Mm.
Because as a part of career management, networking is important. I mean, if I could, highlight that, I would. But the fact is,
Yeah.
networking is very important. And
Mm.
for a lot of people who work within an organization, how are you using the social capital within the organization to
Yeah.
build
That's
those strong networks?
true. True. And pandemic has thrown open a wide gap between people who are knowing what's happening in the organization and people who are
Yeah.
only focusing on their job, their location.
Absolutely. In fact, you won't believe in one of the initiatives that I was doing, which was like a group coaching. And these were a couple of sessions. You won't believe people were attending the sessions, but I think it was only till the second last session that they realized, oh, we haven't actually networked with each other. That's
So
what
there are
happens. So,
five things you mentioned. One is ensure that your inner compass is aligned with values,
yes,
all of these beliefs and everything that you need to get your bearings right. Second, you also
right.
mentioned about upgrade and update the skill.
Yes,
Third, you mentioned about not only that, update your profile as well.
yeah,
It doesn't mean that you're searching for a job, but keep a updated profile.
absolutely.
It gives you, gets
Absolutely.
you on track. Then you talked about being digitally savvy to know what kind of platforms are there and so on. And finally, you also spoke about the power of networking within the organization as well as outside. So the
Absolutely.
social media piece where you mentioned Gen Z is so good at promoting themselves and creating a brand for themselves by writing articles, commenting on social issues, worrying about climate change and say how it is going to impact me in my neighborhood, my job, family, and so on,
Yeah,
is more prevalent in this generation than ever before. Right? I think I agree
absolutely.
with your observation. And also, you emphasized that career is not a linear path. It's like a mosaic. We need to figure out where our energy flows and how we navigate and get our path there, right?
Yes,
And what
yes,
reminds me is when you spoke about compass, the vision part, um, you mentioned Helen Keller's quote: the only thing
yes.
worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. So
Correct.
could you explain the idea behind that?
So, right when I mentioned earlier, what are people really missing out on? It's actually a reiteration of that exact thing. Because I see far too many people
Hmm.
working in a profession without the clarity of whether it is aligned to their vision, to their aspiration, to their values, to their beliefs.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people will say that's too much of psychological jargon, but actually not, because people may still perform. People may
Hmm.
still perform. People may still do well, in terms of the external benchmarks of success. But in the long run, how much are you feeling a sense of satisfaction?
True.
That's one question that you need to answer, and that's not something that I can tell you. That's something that you need to reflect upon. So, I feel that if one can feel motivated to jump out of the bed every single day and,
Mm,
get up and say that I want to make a difference today through my profession, through my career, that will only and only happen when I am able to understand the why behind the what I'm doing,
true.
right? and
Mm,
um, and therefore it truly means that I need to look at things from the inside out approach,
very
because
well said.
clearly, because clearly when I talk about the inside out approach, people set goals, and whether I'm working in an organization or whether I am an entrepreneur, um, the one thing that people know is career means goal setting. Fantastic. But do we take career goals in isolation?
Mm,
No, they cannot be done in isolation.
right.
Our career affects all the other aspects of our life,
Mm,
right? And therefore, in the chapter where I'm talking about goals, the transforming aspiration into
into
action,
action.
I'm
Yes.
talking, yeah. So I'm talking about goals, and I'm talking about goals from the four major aspect of goals that we need to consider before even getting into a management framework of setting smart goals for yourself,
Mm,
because
mm,
understanding my reality, understanding my priority becomes equally important, and that is only possible when I know what my vision is, why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So
mm.
that's why this quote, I think, really resonated with me, and that's when I picked it up and put it in the.
Perfect, perfect. In fact, there is a stage in everyone's career where we talk about this job is not exciting for me. What do I do? Right? And as a coach, I keep talking about how do I coach a person, not the problem. The problem may
Correct.
not be the job. Problem maybe we
Absolutely.
are not seeing the vision, our own
Yes.
personal vision, that is the aligned vision with the job that I'm doing. If the alignment
Correct.
is missing, it's not the fault of the job or the company. I need to
Correct.
navigate myself to fit into that scheme of things. Otherwise, it's
So
going to
true.
be a misery, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And when I finished my B Farm, natural option for me is to work in a factory. So I did an
Right.
internship 1 year before the final exam, and I figured out
Ah,
that factory is not the place where I want to be, because
yeah.
it's a very structured work environment.
Right.
Every time the siren goes off in a different tone, it's a tea time, it's a lunch time.
Absolutely.
You got to hang your gloves and everything, and then move for the security check. So
Correct.
it's a very mechanical routine kind of a life where I was not knowing whether it's a Wednesday or a Friday. Right. Then I decided factory work setting is not my cup of tea. I need people. I need to talk to people. That's when I started
Right.
exploring sales. So trial and error has been my mantra. And also, you also in your book you talk about how do I make corrections of my mistakes, right? So
Mhm.
how do I come back to a track? What kind of self corrections we need to do? Be bold enough. That's the title. That spoke to me. Move fast and move over. Don't brood
Mm,
too much. Should I continue to stay because of the brand of the company or a logo that I'm attached to, but my vision and the job is not at all linked. Yeah, so that's
correct.
really amazing.
Absolutely
How do I grow confidence in connecting myself to the inner compass?
true.
So there's one question I wanted to ask, and also it's a favorite of my daughter, is a chapter on women. You have dedicated
Right.
one full chapter for women professionals. What was the idea behind it? Why we need a separate section?
Okay, so and I'm just hoping while you're saying this, I'm hoping I've done justice over there. But of course, everything that I have mentioned in the book is definitely relevant to women professionals also. But I felt that a dedicated chapter to women was a must because women have a very unique set of challenges on their career journey.
Yes.
And given that they have these unique set of challenges, it's very critical that they feel heard, and they also get their own space to be able to reflect back on
Mm,
their own journey so far, and therefore bring to their awareness what's truly important. So we understand that when it comes to women, the kind of challenges that they face would be one, to be able to balance out the roles that they have at work and at home. And it means that they also need to deal with a lot of career breaks that they sometimes need to take, because either due to maternity or some sort of sabbatical, because they need to support somebody in the family, so on and so forth. So there are challenges at each level. Okay, and this becomes their personal challenge. But
mm,
also women face another kind of challenge, which is from the perspective of, in the professional environment, we see a lot of gender parity,
mm,
with
mm.
regards to pay, with regards to opportunities, growth opportunities at leadership levels, with regards to representation in certain kind of careers. Okay, in fact, I have mentioned in one of the researches which was done by the International Labor Organization, ILO. They've mentioned that only 23% women are represented at the C-suite level roles.
Yes.
So
In India,
imagine
it's even
that.
more lesser.
Yeah, absolutely. So imagine that. So one is, the idea was, can I make women aware that yes, this is the reality, but given this reality, there is also a set of available resources and opportunities also.
Mm.
So to kind of give you an example, or to connect it to the fact that today a lot of organizations globally are taking the rather are making diversity and inclusion policies very important as a part of the initiatives that they undertake,
Mm.
and they're also actioning them. So there is so much that is available right now as a woman professional. Am I aware of that? Wherever I may be working, in the organization that I may be working, am I aware that yes, there are certain policies which can give me an advantage? So awareness of that is also critical. When women who've taken a back seat in their career and now wanting to move back and get into a second innings in their career, they
Mm.
also have a lot of opportunities available outside. There are so many companies who have created special programs for women in their second innings. So am I
Mm.
aware of that? So
True.
the idea was to create this awareness of what's available, and second, also to be able to help them understand what kind of uh, you know actions that they need to take at their own level, which means what kind of choices do I need to make. Because
Mm.
like I said, women form a very important, women are a pillar of their families. So whatever
Right.
choices they make are going to affect everybody around. So what kind
Mm.
of choices am I making? Or secondly, what kind of a mindset shift do I need to have? And Bhaskar,
Mm.
I've seen women, I've spoken to women, I know for a fact that at a fundamental level, they do need to make an attitudinal shift in terms of what they're capable of, because they're capable of so much more than they can, they are actually utilizing in terms of their potential, right? So these are certain actions that they need to take. And most importantly, one of the things that I also have mentioned in the chapter was the kind of support groups that are available for women, be
Yes.
it women who are coming back with a second innings in their career, or women who are in a specialized sector. They also, everybody has support groups which are available globally. So
True.
that awareness also needs to be a part of their action plan when it comes to evaluating their current situation and strategizing for the future. And that's why I have specifically dedicated this chapter to women.
Perfect. I mean, you also mentioned few resources for women to take advantage of as a support
Yes,
group.
yes,
There are a lot of research in the recent times say that women are not living up to their potential, as you rightly said, because of some limiting beliefs, which is kind of stereotyping women. One is you can't have it all. This mindset is getting propagated through the network itself, saying, hey, I can either manage career or I can manage home. I can't have it all, which is a
yes,
wrong notion. There are so many people who have mentioned about it in their work, successful women, starting with Sheryl Sandberg and in her book Lean In, and
absolutely,
even recent one, Indra Nui has released one book where she
absolutely,
talks about
yes,
how
yeah,
women can have it all. The glass
absolutely,
ceiling that you speak about is also another mind block where they will not allow me to grow. There is a more deserving man, so why should I apply for that job? There's a research which was really startling for me to read that report, which said overqualified women, right, may not even apply for the job, whereas a man who is not qualified is more likely to apply.
yeah, absolutely. That sense of competition
Yeah.
that women try and avoid. It's not that they are not capable of, but yeah, like you said, it's this need to, okay, let me not. It's all right. So that's what
And when
happens.
I get into a race, then I have to compromise here. I have to give more
Yes,
time. Why should I take the
absolutely.
promotion? If I take a promotion, then it will have impact on my family. So they always tread, or feel like treading two boats at the same
Yeah,
time, and they
yeah,
wanted to keep it slow. If one goes
yeah,
fast, it will become difficult. My wife is another
absolutely.
example. She works in a large company, consulting and uh, accounting firm, where she also has a lot of these options and I keep encouraging her, saying, don't worry about the family. We are here to share our responsibilities. You can surge ahead, plan your career in advance. There are a lot of discussions she's having with her manager on 2 years from now, where do you want to be? 5 years from now, where do you want
Yeah.
to be? Those discussions are far and few in many companies. That's why the personal vision alignment to the job, how I can grow in this company, all these are missing. The materialistic aspect of promotion is seen as a growth. You're absolutely right.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, what you mentioned right now is the career conversations that
Yes.
managers need to have, and I've addressed it, of course, in a very compact way in the book. But it's very, very important to have those career conversations. So if your manager is not having that with you, please go ahead and have that conversation with him or her, because it's pertinent to your growth. I think that's what is important for people to
One
understand.
mind block I observed is, Beena, to have a career conversation is, what if the other person asks for promotion?
Mm,
How can I handle that question? So if I don't have anything to offer, why start that conversation at all? So I think for
right,
all the
right.
managers, what advice would you have? Whether you have promotion in your team, or any job openings or IJP, internal job postings in your company or not,
Correct,
irrespective
correct.
of that, career conversations are a must, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think career conversations have little to do with promotion. Career conversation has more to do with the fact that how does your talent within the team align himself to what he's capable of, and therefore what is the developmental opportunity that can be created. So it's a developmental opportunity.
Hmm.
One has to understand that you are also creating a successor
Yeah.
by
So
having
you can
those
grow.
career conversations.
So you
Yeah,
can grow to the next
absolutely. So
level.
you can grow. Absolutely. Because
That's
you
an
cannot
incentive.
remain the same place for such a long time. Absolutely. Yes.
And I also come across a dysfunctional mindset. If a person is thinking of leaving a job, that means he or she is not loaded. So there are managers who I have spoken to who says, give him more job, give her more, responsibilities, so they don't have time to think about leaving a job, which is a
Mm,
wrong way of approaching career management and team
yes,
management
absolutely.
especially. So there are
Absolutely.
many aspects which you have touched, which spans across millennials and Gen Z. Is there any specific advice you have for Gen Z?
So I think I would have advice for not just Gen Z, but I think everyone who wants to take their career seriously, because I think for a fact that there is no right age and stage to look at career management seriously.
Hmm.
Like I shared some time back, you could be a professional with 20 years of experience, or you could be somebody just starting out. So long as you know that you are taking charge of your career, because
Yeah.
in today's day and age, please understand, you are responsible for your career and nobody else is. Gone
Hmm.
are the days when the moment I've joined an organization, I continue there till the end of my career
Retirement.
stint. It doesn't work like that. Or even
Hmm.
for that matter, I have also seen professionals, they may not stay in the same in one company for 35 years, but they may still stay there for a longer time, in the hope that somehow I get opportunities. But
Yeah.
opportunities can be created. So one of my advice to anyone and everyone who reads this book is to be able to take charge of your career, and
Or
there
someone
is
else will.
no age, or
Or
somebody
someone
else.
else will.
That's absolutely, that's why the move over, they'll tell you to move
Yes.
over. And it's like then you're the puppet who does not have a control over their own life. So that's why I think that's important to
Yeah.
consider, that you need to take charge of your career. For Gen Z, I think Bhaskar, they're doing so much, because I have seen very closely, I have people who intern with me, as a part of my company. And I've seen that Gen Z is very open to experiences.
Yeah.
So for
True.
that matter, yeah, absolutely. So, I have seen Gen Z who has actually done 2 and 3 internships in a matter of 1.5 years,
Hmm.
just to be able to gain that kind of experience and knowledge, then to decide what to do next. So my advice to Gen Z definitely would be, always be seeking,
Hmm.
because when you seek, you are in the space of experimenting. You can experiment more. And when you
True.
experiment more, you get to learn more. Because
Absolutely.
when I learn, yeah, when I learn to understand what works for me, what doesn't work for me, is
Mm.
when I will definitely then align myself when I move forward to the next, correct opportunity that comes my way. So
Mm.
that would be definitely my advice to people who are a part of, Gen Z, and also any other professional who's going to read the book. So
Perfect, perfect. And what comes to my mind when I hear you talk about move fast or move over, is my travel in Mumbai local. Now, you got to be very vigilant and agile in
absolutely,
understanding where you are, what is the next station coming up, and you have to move your way towards the entrance. And on your way you have to keep asking, hey, are you going to get down, are you part of this stop? If not, move over, right side please. And that's the
absolutely.
metaphor that comes to my mind. I have to be very vigilant of my career, otherwise I would go as the train is moving to a destination, and I would wonder, how did I arrive here?
Absolutely. So true. So true.
So you have written this book, especially during pandemic, and you had a launch recently. I'm so glad that we are talking about this fresh book in the market. So, what has been your biggest learning?
I think my biggest learning is that when you're passionate about something and when you know the purpose behind doing it, then the right kind of ideas, the right kind of people, the right kind of collaborations automatically, come your way. And
Mm,
that's when you are able to create the kind of, masterpiece that you have been intending to create. So yeah, because like I said, I think this book is very close to me because I have gone through my own challenges as a professional when I started out, and therefore I feel that there was a purpose behind writing this book, and that's how it was written.
absolutely. And I'm sure in the process you would have collected so much of material, and some of it had to be left out because of various reasons. Your publisher said
Yes.
it, and so on. So, are we here to expect another installment soon?
So I am still in the process of thinking, what next. But yes, there is already, thinking going on, ideating going on in terms of what next, as far as value creating edition when it comes to my next book. So I shall keep the audience posted about it.
Until then, keep promoting this book, talking about it in various forum. Let more people know about this book, and we will also do our best in talking about the good work that you have done. It's very important that this reaches many many audience out there. Unlike pre-pandemic era, we are fortunate to have advantage of downloading it instantly and reading this book. So I already left a
Right.
link in the description below. So I'm sure audience who are watching this or listening to our conversation, please do take advantage of Beena Joshi's new book, Move Fast or Move Over, and take charge of your career before someone does. Right. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Beena, for your time. Is there anything that you would like to share as a piece of advice, or something you wanted to leave behind as a pearl of wisdom?
So I think I've already shared in terms of what would be my advice for people, but I would definitely like to reiterate the fact that the right audience for this book would be
Hmm.
people who are not just starting out in their career, but also people who have reached a mid stage, or are at a mid management, and also people who are moving from a mid to a senior level role. So these are the three kind of audience who will definitely benefit from this book. And I know for a fact that if you go back to the book and if you understand, that there is an exercise at the end of each chapter which will help you in self reflection.
Yes.
It's important that you are able to use that exercise to your advantage, because that is how you will make the most of the information that has been a part of this particular.
Absolutely. And I found that as a powerful set of questions and templates, which would make people to think on various counts, and it should not be consumed in one go. That's what I realized
Right.
about this book. One need to revisit again and again with all these questions. Use pen and paper to write down, or if you're a digital native, use a app which can track your thoughts over a period of time. That's going to be a chiseling process. As they
Yes,
say, a
absolutely.
statue is made not by the skill of the person who is hitting it hard. It is made by removing the unwanted pieces, and let the
Absolutely.
masterpiece reveal itself. So this is a
Absolutely.
process which has some amount of struggle. We need to dig deeper and get honest answers for the questions that you have shared in each of these templates. Many of them are really thought provoking in terms of working with a partner. It could be a spouse, it could be some friend or colleague who is non-judgmental, or even best go and hire a coach like me or you, so that they can work with a person who can guide through these questions, which at times we are afraid to ask, we are unable to ask, or we are too scared, or think that it is too silly to ask. In any of these
Absolutely.
cases, these questions are going to help us carve out a personal vision, find our inner compass, focus on the direction that we want to go, and then move fast or move over. Thank you, Bina.
Yes,
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation. You have been very generous in sharing all your thoughts and inputs. I wish all the audience out there, please go and buy this book and get moving faster and moving over. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much,
Signing off.
Bhaskar.